Lean in, baby.
Yeah, lean in because we love to judge the burps.
So I'm the nice judge. Nigel's like that East German gymnastics judge. You're gonna hate him.
He's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Well, it's because
Especially
standards.
Yeah.
This thing about burping. It's been vilified for so long. We're trying to give it some class. So I think
not open to beer yet. I've had the hiccups all day, so hopefully they'll stay away. I've got
hopefully I think doesn't beer cure hiccups?
I think it does.
We're gonna find out. Yeah,
it cures a lot of things.
Yeah, hopefully.
So I'm gonna open this drinker for you. This is some beer karma right here.
We should review two rules, the two main rules of our show, of our life.
Rule number 1,
don't die.
Rule number 2,
don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. And if you are, you ruin your beer karma.
Or any karma.
Mostly
beer karma.
Because when you give beer, you get beer. And so some shout out to my friends Chris and Chris Laurie and his wife, not April. Her name's not April.
It's always good when you talk about your friends. You're like, my friend Chris and his wife, who's not named April.
Well, there's a story because the brewery I work at, we have a mug club, and for the longest time, shout out to Nolan, was calling her April. That's not her name. Her name is Violet, and so on her mug club glass now it says not April.
Does she make Nolan feel bad? That's the most important.
I mean, she used to.
Okay,
not anymore. So they went to up to Omaha and Vis Major, which you can see that can. They do great beers. So this one's called, this is right up your alley. It's called Treason.
Oh, it's a 4th of July beer. So Nigel claims to be British. You should know this.
Here we are. So anyway, this is this brewery is really awesome because it's in this really cool neighborhood, and the back bar is, because Vis Major means act of God, for those who don't know. But the back bar is this altar from this church. It's fucking amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. So I don't know what treason is, but
do we know the style?
No, because we're gonna find out.
All right, let's go.
Keith, just roll with it, bro.
and with that, I'm gonna hit a little button.
Okay, heard.
Beers with Nigel is poured for you by Dire Oil Graphics, promotional products and design. They cover your brand bumper to bumper with graphic design, promo products, and print. See what Dire Oil Graphics can build for you at direoil.com. That's DYEROIL.com.
And welcome to Smooth Down. Yeah, shout out to the smoothest Uber driver in Kansas City, Jonathan Theobald. Welcome to Beers with Nigel. It's a show about beer
and other things,
and
more
other stuff. Welcome to the show, Keith Adams, aka Beer Selfie.
One of the coolest freaking things we've had.
Yeah, it's I've been following you for a long time. I love your questions when we'll tell the people exactly what Beer Selfie is, but I do love what you do because it's so different and so unique. And people just kind of dig it, and it just shows there's a lot of cool beer people out there who like to take pictures of themselves with beers. So let's just get into it. Tell us about Beer Selfie and how that started, man.
So it started a long time ago. It's been like 9 years or something. I've always been into creating stuff online. So like all through college, I had a blog. And that blog slowly kind of morphed into a beer blog as I became more interested in craft beer. And then I decided to create
as you morphed out of your college beer phase.
Well, yeah, I mean, I went to college in Chico, home of Sierra Nevada. So,
you were drinking good beer then, probably.
Craft beer was always around. So, and I, then Instagram showed up, and eventually I decided to stop posting beer photos to my personal account, annoying, friends and family that did not give a crap about that, and create an Instagram to go along with the blog. And so as I was kind of exploring that and kind of getting into the Instagram beer community, I noticed some people taking selfies with a beer, which I hadn't really been doing. I'd just, if I'd been posting just pictures of whatever beer I'd found. And then I also noticed some non-beer accounts like offering to like repost people. So I just thought, why not combine those? So, and it, like the first couple weeks of the account, I was going out and like, engaging with other accounts and, occasionally messaging people like, hey, can I repost your stuff? And then it just kind of took off from there. And so I at one point it grew like a couple thousand followers in a month for a few months straight. Cause it promoted itself because people tagged the account, tagged your selfie in their photo, which I assumed was, permission to go repost theirs. And I create some original content also, but mostly it's just, the craft beer community, a place for people to find other accounts and get to know people.
Yeah. I think it's brilliant because the one thing I was showing somebody today what your Instagram page looks like, and it's a potpourri of people. It's a little bit of everyone. I know you have some usual suspects on there, but there's if you scroll through your Instagram, I'm like, wow, this is what you want the beer community to look like because it's so diverse. You know what I'm saying? So in that regard, it's fucking brilliant. I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I try to make it as diverse as possible. To some degree, it is a reflection of the lack of diversity in the craft beer community because, there's only so many people out there tagging the account, and it's kind of a reflection of who's out there drinking craft beer. But yeah, any chance I get, I try to engage with a diverse crowd. And
was it hard to build that up at all? I mean, I think we've all tried, whether we've got breweries that we're trying to build up an audience, or podcasts or whatever. Like, was it hard to get everybody just to kind of start playing along, or did it just happen?
I think the timing was really good with where Instagram was at the time. It was Instagram monetizing things. And so it kind of just took off on its own. Over the last couple of years, like the follower count has stalled out. The follower count hasn't grown, but the engagement's still there.
Yeah.
I think I kind of lucked out with the timing. I think if you tried to do it now, and were as hands off kind of as I was with it, because I kind of just let it come to me, and it worked out that way. I don't think it would work as well like getting going now as it did, before Instagram started monetizing things, and which kind of meant that the kind of the organic engagement is kind of dropped off.
Yeah, unless you're already famous, it's really hard to just get on Instagram and build a following.
Yeah. So you cracked a beer, but tell us what you're drinking.
Yeah. This is Death and Taxes from Moonlight Brewing. They're out of Santa Rosa. And they've been brewing for a long time there, but they're really tiny. I think a few years back, Lagunitas actually bought them out, and then Lagunitas got bought out by whoever it was, Poro or someone. But I think their distribution has increased a bit, but I think they've kind of been left alone. It's still the original brewer, and they make some really good beers. They make some great lagers. So this is a black lager.
Lovely.
I do love a black
I just
lager.
had one of those earlier, a black lager. Shout out to Grains and Taps here. So obviously you live in Chico, and you're kind of surrounded by good beer. Talk about what got you into craft, or maybe you were drinking something before that, or we've come across people who never drank craft beer. Are you one of those guys?
It kind of in college that I got into craft beer. That was a while ago, early 2000s. So craft beer was still kind of getting going. I guess Sierra Nevada was always around. But my first sip of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, it's like, this is awful. It's too bitter. I'd only been to, keg parties drinking, Coors Light or something.
Yeah.
So slowly I started exploring that. Back then, the options were kind of limited. There's Sierra Nevada and then a handful of other local breweries. So I started exploring some of the imports, like Bass and things like that. Trying to find something with some more flavor. And then luckily the craft beer kind of took off along with my interest. So that timing was good.
Were there flavors or styles that you quickly found yourself gravitating toward?
Yeah, I think I've talked to people before, there seems to be kind of a style, evolution that a lot of people follow, where they start off with something a little lighter and then get into amber ales or golden ales. And then pretty soon they're chasing IBUs and, trying all the different IPAs. Back when I was kind of in that phase it was right when the IBU wars were happening with the double IPAs, people trying to, these 90 IBU
hop stupid.
IPAs.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I was all into that. Since then, I've gotten into sours and lagers, and I rarely touch a double IPA these days. I still like a regular IPA or a hazy, but the tongue blistering 100 IBU double IPA that's 11%, that's pretty rare for me.
Sometimes you just need it.
You know what's funny though, in this part of the country, what's becoming, because New England's have been all the rage, right? What's coming back in the middle part of the country, West Coast. So they're making a resurgence because people are like, I'm kind of over the hazy and the fruity IPA. So it's kind of cool to see, the Westies come back. Because that
recently came out with a West Ghost IPA, because you said West Coast was dead, but it's back.
It's
the kings of West Coast IPA.
And for me, I've always loved a Westie. That's where I started. That's why I loved Hop Stupid, shit like that. I wasn't really chasing the IBUs, but I did love the bitter. And most beers now are trying to catch new people, and so you don't want to do it too bitter, because the people who are coming in asking for, the hop heavy ones are just the OGs. And I think we've already got the OGs in the game. We need some new people.
I feel like everybody's trying to find the new gateway.
Well, yeah, I mean,
right? How can we get the ones that aren't already coming to the breweries?
I mean, to your point, I mean, that's why, the people
the saisons are popular.
Well, they've been around for a while.
Right, but I think people are using more, even where you work, right? That's the gateway for, oh no, I'm a wine drinker.
Well, sure, a good saison. But I was gonna go a step further just to piss you off. Pickle beers.
Jesus Christ. Why do you got to talk about the devil juice?
Pickle beers, man.
There's two styles of beer that I'll take a sip, but I'm probably not going to like, and that's pickle beers and smoked beers.
You know what? That's probably most people.
I am right in line with that. I mean, first off, pickles are evil.
Yeah, pickles aren't good.
And look, I am in the heart of barbecue smoked meat country, and for some reason, a smoked beer always just takes a little too liquid smoky to me.
Okay,
it's not my thing. I'm a jam.
Sip or two is fine, but then after a while, it's just you're just chewing on a campfire.
Right.
So I've been up in your neck of the woods. How would you characterize I went to Sacramento, and I was blown away by how many breweries were there and how old they were. What's it like in the Chico area? The beer community.
For the longest time, Sierra Nevada was kind of the only thing in town. I don't know if no one really wanted to try to compete with them or what. And I think there was also some issues with some local zoning laws in Chico, and they changed those. And since then, there's been, just in the last 5 or 10 years, there's been a few more breweries popped up. Another one that I grabbed here is this is Secret Trail. They're kind of a hidden gem here in Chico. This is their Colch. So we have got there's a few other craft breweries. One just opened, I guess the end of last year, called Ramble West. So it's a little sparse in Chico.
Yeah.
Chico's, about 100,000 people, and there's, I don't know, like 5 breweries. And then compared to somewhere like Bend, Oregon, which has the same population, but like
Right.
30 or 40 breweries.
Yeah.
So I end up in Sacramento a lot. If I'm going to do a brewery crawl, I'm heading to Sacramento. That's,
How far is that from you?
it's about an hour and a half drive.
Yeah. Because you're pretty much, I mean,
Sacramento's great.
Isn't all that area kind of more like wine country, like Chico? There's a lot of wine up there.
Yeah. I mean, that's mostly over towards Napa, Santa Rosa area. It's a lot of wine country, but there's some of that here.
An hour and a half drive. That's a commitment for a brewery crawl.
Yeah. My wife and I have done that a few times where, we'll spend the night. Otherwise you have to commit to old Nevin 1 or 2 for the day.
Yeah.
That's where my wife and I have the tried and true rock, paper, scissors tournament to see who has to drive.
But yeah, Sacramento's great. You can park in Midtown Sac, which is not far from the Capitol, and you can just walk to, 10 breweries.
Yeah, my buddy lived in Sacramento, and he's a wine guy. He's a whiskey guy. He had no clue there was like a brewery. I think it was called New Heights. That was like 2 blocks from his house. I was like, dude, he didn't care.
There's New Helvetica.
New Helvetica. Yes. Yep. New Helvetica. And now he lives in DC and still has no clue. And it's fine. But I'm slowly converting him into a beer guy because he loves whiskey. So I can always put him on something barrel aged.
There you go.
And he's like, "Oh, this is beer." I'm like, "Yeah, bro, this is not, Coors Light or whatever the fuck it is."
My nerd question is: does New Helvetica use a different font other than Helvetica on their cans?
I might have mispronounced it. It's not actually Helvetica.
New Helvetia.
Helvetia. That sounds right.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a little font nerd brewery.
No, it's not a font themed brewery.
My old news designer heart was swelling.
You're excited about that, yeah.
They've been around for a while, and they do some nice beers. I was very I was super impressed by Sacramento, kind of blown away because I'd lived in L.A. for years, and that was before there was any really breweries per se. And then going to Sacramento, I was like, oh, this is, some of these things have been around for like 30 years, which is kind of cool.
They are so far ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Our go-to, if we're just like coming through town, just want to grab lunch, and they've been around for about 6 years, is Urban Roots.
Yeah. I've been there.
I don't know how it compares to your guys' barbecue, but it's pretty good.
No, the food was really good.
Yeah, and they do a great job with the beer.
Yeah. I was super impressed. It's one of those days where my buddy's like, well, I'm not going. I'm like, I need your car. I'll be back.
How can he not go for a walkabout?
He's just not a beer guy. He's gotten better. So now he lives in DC, and I've taken him to a bunch of places.
Like I'm gonna tell everybody this: don't turn down the Nigel walkabout when you're traveling. You don't know what's gonna happen.
You
might miss out.
There's always going to be some sort of shenanigans.
I mean, it might be you getting cars with strangers.
But Keith, I'm still here. It's fine.
It might be weird scooter rides.
They're nice strangers. So back to the beer selfie thing, man. So as big as it is now, did it kind of shock you how large it is? How many people follow you? It's kind of crazy.
Definitely when it was when it started to take off. Yeah, I was surprised. Like I said, there was a few months there where it was growing, a couple thousand followers a month, and I'm thinking that's never ending, and it's going to be like 1 million followers. Obviously it tapered off because the craft beer market's only so big.
Yeah,
it was bound to taper off at some point. But yeah, I was definitely surprised at first. It's been fun though.
I mean, people are still engaged in it. You know what I'm saying? It's like you said, it's cool to have something that's hands off. You're like, oh, it's its own entity. It's kind of wild. That's why I was like, when I told Nick about it, and we've been, I've been kind of engaging with you for a while. I was like, what is the story behind this thing?
Right.
It kind of reminds me of us in this podcast. We had no plans for any of this. We're like, oh, let's just do this thing.
We thought we had plans in the beginning.
No, we never. No,
it lasted an episode.
We had. Yeah, it just turned into a thing, and now we're like, okay, now here we are. But with it's an interesting. Granted, I've posted on there before and to repost, blah blah blah. I don't know what part of the brain says, hey, I want to take a picture of me and a beer and post it. Because I don't know what does that say about us as humans.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what I've learned from it over the years is like, I'll endlessly geek out about beer styles and ingredients and brewing, and I, do some home brewing and stuff, but, people are really interested in other people. That's what they really want to see. So yeah, I mean, if you're scrolling through a bunch of photos of beer accounts on Instagram, the one with the person's actually going to catch your eye, unless it's just some wild beer that, or something you've been seeking out. So yeah, it's the people that, I think are actually more interesting. And so once the Instagram took off, I decided I registered beerselfie.com, and that's where I've tried to do some more in-depth stuff than what fits in an Instagram caption.
Right.
And do some interviews and like the Q&As that you've participated in, and, try to dig in a bit more and, the people, behind the beer and
so is that you just being, because I was going to talk about, because the questions you send, I'm like, those are are you just curious about people? Are you trying to engage more? What where is that coming from? You just it seems very investigative reporter.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, I've always kind of been interested in creating content online, and I considered doing like a journalism major when I was going to college. And ended up doing a communication major.
Smart guy. Same here.
You didn't want to be poor.
Same here.
That's
Whatever.
fine.
Communications major right here. Shut up, newspaper guy.
TV hack.
So yeah, that's something I've always been interested in writing, and telling stories. And then the Q&A ones, kind of along those same lines as the beer selfie one, where it's kind of, you get a lot of bang for the buck, where I just shoot out the email asking a couple dozen people to answer this question with a short answer, combine them all. I've got this article, kind of like with Instagram. I just go tag the account. When I can find, because I have a day job, and a family, so when I could find something that get a lot out of minimal effort on my part, I'm definitely looking to jump on that.
After. I think people like it though and gravitate it because we always talk about we want this beer community, right? Like you connect, and there's not a lot of other places. You can't walk into any other restaurant, like a normal restaurant or even a wine bar, really, I think, and just expect to meet people and to talk to people. There is a different kind of thing, I think, with the craft beer world.
And I think, to your point, we always talk about like beer Twitter, beer Instagram, beer Facebook, because most of what I do, like, it's funny because my personal Facebook page, I don't even really use it. But the Beers with Nigel Facebook page, that's where the action is. If you know what I mean.
I try not to join in because it gets a little weird.
So it's even like Instagram, it's most of the people who are in my feed it's all beer related, and it's Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I know there's people that have made friends, based on accounts they found on the Beer Selfie Instagram. I don't know if there's a beer selfie marriage. If anybody knows of one, let me know.
I think we need to start a quest to find this out.
Right.
I'm even going to throw this out there. I am internet ordained, so if they're just engaged, we can do a Beers with Nigel / beer selfie wedding.
wedding collab.
There you go.
I'm just putting it out there.
For those who need that sort of shit. Hey, Nick, before we move on, so we do a thing. We do mystery beers on the.
Oh crap!
You don't have it on. Oh my God, what have you done? So he's the producer of this show, and he's sometimes pretty good at it. Producer. So we do a thing called mystery beers. We've been doing this for. So that's the mystery beer bag.
Hang on, let me try this. Mystery beer.
That's pretty good. So shout out to our friend Bree Burrows of Big Rep Brewing out here in KC. She came on the episode.
I'll insert that later.
She kept singing mystery beers, and so we turned it into a jingle, and we do a mystery beer. So this is the mystery beer bag. You can tell it came from a golf course. I actually saw the dude last night who got this bag, and he still hasn't told us where he got it. So here we are. So Nick,
I mean, did he steal it from a dead body or something? I mean, I don't understand his secrecy.
he's very flighty. This is called it that. So
I mean, there's flighty and I'm worried about there is no statute of limitations.
well, here, just grab a beer out of there. So what we do is he grabs a beer. We talk about the style briefly, but we play a game called Guess the ABV. That was pretty good.
Wow, I don't usually get burp compliments from
That
you.
was pretty good. And so we play the game Guess the ABV. But we'll tell you what the style is, and you get to join in.
Oh boy,
to guess the ABV. Whoa! A double burp.
Yeah,
wow!
That kind of startled me a little bit. Okay. We're making a hard left turn.
Okay,
from starting with our IPA.
Okay, what you got there?
903 Brewers.
Oh God!
Brunch Buzz.
What style is it?
Jesus Christ! It's red on red.
You want the
in small print.
Would you like
maple syrup, hazelnut, vanilla bean, and waffle flavored stout.
Wow.
Yeah.
Woo, I mean, I'm just gonna put that up there.
Yeah.
How do you get waffle flavor? Throwing waffles in the.
God, let's hope, right?
I don't know, but woo.
So 903 is out of Sherman, Texas, which is like east of Dallas. And those folks, I don't know if they do it out in the West Coast. They do smoothie sours. You had one of those?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 903 was kind of the nuts who decided to make that that thing.
You know what?
I think I've had a couple of their smoothie sours from Tavor.
So you're a Tavor guy. Got it.
They're so crazy, but so good.
Yeah, it's a.
I mean, you don't want more than one or half of one.
I don't know who's out there drinking a whole can. I don't know who those people are.
I mean, that's usually a share, right? Like you crack one open and you share it with a couple friends.
That's really good. And that's got to be just knowing what that brewery does.
It's not a syrupy.
No,
I was worried about it being heavy on the syrup.
Yeah, because sometimes they can be super. It's
That's actually I
it's
like
good.
It.
It's probably 10%.
You know what?
Probably 10%.
I'm gonna drink this at brunch.
Keith, what would you think this type of beer would be? Just a wild guess. Price is right. Price is right rules.
Oh well, that doesn't give me a lot of room, but I'll go 9%.
Okay. I'm gonna go 10.
You said 10. He said 9.
Yeah.
Just in case you went over, I'm gonna go 9.9.
9.
Actual retail ABV. Oh, ding, 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 10%.
Here we are.
Nice.
Keith, don't be alarmed. I never win at this.
We usually Nigel and I, our batting average in this game is way low.
Yeah,
we are below the Mendoza line. Hey, it does tell you though on the label. It pairs well with brisket hash, cinnamon roll.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? It's too small, and I'm too old. There are a couple other suggestions.
So you talked about do you still homebrew?
Yeah, occasionally, I have time to homebrew maybe like 2 batches a year.
Okay,
not very often. But
how long?
That sounds like a man with kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably. How long ago was when's the first time you ever homebrewed?
It was about 12 years ago, I think.
Did you have a Mr. Beer kit?
No, I didn't have the Mr. Beer. I had just like but it was a homebrew shop's equivalent of that, where they had like the brew bucket,
Yeah.
and then it came with everything you needed in the bucket,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the spigot on it.
Yeah, we always have to ask that question because there's
it is surprising how many like pro brewers started with Mr. Beer Kits.
or there was
or
the
like the Costco Bed Bath and Beyond version.
no, there was Bed Bath Beyond used to sell beer kits, and so did Brooklyn Brewing. Remember we got that story.
Oh, that's right.
Brooklyn Brewing had a beer kit. So what was the first thing you
Little
brewed?
homebrew shop in Chico.
Yeah.
Actually, Ken Grossman, I think, started it before, and then when he started Sierra Nevada, he sold it, and
Wow.
the woman he sold it to still runs it.
No shit.
Wow.
She's great. She, like, if you have any questions, she's just
That's a
happy
great
to.
story.
Wow. What's the name of the homebrew store?
It's just Chico Homebrew, I think.
We have to look them up.
When did Sierra Nevada start? Because that's been a while.
They started in 1980.
Wow.
So yeah, same lady still running it, and yeah, she's Dawn is her name, and she couldn't be more helpful.
That's awesome. We have never had
Yeah, you know what? I was in elementary school.
Okay.
In 1980.
Okay, that's fine.
Just saying, it's been a while.
I was actually born in 1980, so I tell people that, you know.
So
I'm really just trying to not be that subtle and reminding everybody that Nigel's old.
fine.
Gotcha.
You know what?
Just like Sierra Nevada, I was born in Chico in 1980.
There you go.
I like
seasoned.
that.
Seasoned. It's not old. So what was the first thing you brewed?
Shard.
It was you've probably seen that Clone Beers book.
Yeah.
It was actually a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale clone recipe from that book was the first thing I tried.
And how was it?
Actually, that's not true. That was the second. The first was one of those Coopers, like the hopped, like the whatever it's called. This it has the syrup and the thing.
Oh yeah.
So, and that was a bitter, like a best bitter. So that was one where you just dumped it in with the water and boiled it and fermented it, and that was like the whole brewing process. So that was actually my first, and the second one actually did.
Did you drink the first one?
Did you drink the bitter?
Oh yeah, I drank. It wasn't good.
But you gritted your teeth and you made it happen.
Yeah, I don't know if I drank all 5 gallons. I drank a lot of it, and it wasn't very good.
Were you married at the time?
Yeah.
Did she
Hey,
drink?
she stuck around.
Yeah. Yeah, she pretended it wasn't awful, but it was. But yeah, it took a while to kind of figure out how sanitary everything needs to be.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Brewing is
Brewers are just
it's clean.
janitors.
It's cleaning. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cooking and cleaning, heavy on cleaning.
Yeah. Definitely heavy on cleaning.
See, they work too hard. That's why I don't want to be a brewer. They work too hard.
You cook and you clean. You could do it. You could do it, man.
Yeah, brewers work too hard though. That's a lot of manual labor.
Like cooking? Got it.
Cooking's not manual labor.
It's not?
No.
It's just on a bigger scale, Nick. It's fine.
Well, I mean, like I cook for my family. That's different.
I bet your son eats a lot.
Yeah, he's a teenage boy. Like at 17, just
Eating all the things.
all the things.
So when you were like brewing, like home brewing, it's an interesting because a lot of home brewers turn into brewers. You've turned into this social media guy that does things that as a shout out to Dave from Barrel and Flow. It's beer adjacent. Did you have? Yeah, you say you have a day job, but did you have designs to be like, I kind of want to be involved in the beer thing somehow?
Yeah. What crossed my mind? I know that most brewery employees don't make all that much money, so that wasn't encouraging. If I was a better brewer, then like trying to start my own brewery would be more enticing. I've made a few batches that were pretty good, but nothing mind blowing, nothing that
What is your? So you're an Instagram, superhero at night. What is your day alter ego?
I work in IT at Chico State, the local CSU University.
Your alma mater?
Yep. Graduated from Chico State. So, and then I moonlighted in a tap room for a tiny little craft brewery in Chico, just serving beer for about a year. But then it was kind of like a satellite location. Their main location was in a nearby town. So they ended up closing down the Chico location. So that didn't last. But that was fun to go serve some beer in the evenings a couple nights a week. And so that's the closest I've come to being like part of the beer industry, aside from my kind of pseudo journalism thing that I'm doing.
No, I know just from I've worked on a lot of different things, including beer. No, you're definitely a thing because the one thing the guys from from Barrel and Flow, the one thing they love to promote is like it's not just brewing beer or working the brewery. There's so many beer adjacent
all the things around brewing that matter.
Right. That like something that you do, I think matters because, again, to your point, it connects people. Because there's people I've seen, I'm like, well, who's that? Oh, I'm going to follow them because they might just be a beer person. They might not be, you know what I'm saying? Or they might be in a different city where I don't know about a particular brewery. So it spurred me to follow those people.
Well, I think that's why you gravitated and followed him, right? Because it's similar to what we do, which is really like, sure, it's a show about beer, but it's
stories.
Yeah, I mean, like the beer's just the doorway in. I mean, we just want to meet people and hear their stories.
And I'll tell you this, Keith. Every time you've sent me the question, and then you've posted the people who responded, I've always followed those people.
Nice.
Because those are people that I'm like, oh, that's cool. They're talking about this brewery or this beer or this, that, the other. It just gives us because think about it, Nick.
I'm a new follower, by the way, this week.
Of me, thanks.
Well, no, yeah. Damn it, Keith! You made me follow Nigel. Years I've been avoiding it. I'm a new beer selfie follower.
Yeah,
this week.
but I've based on just what you've done. I'm like, oh, there's things that maybe a part of the country I didn't know about, or a brewery or a beer. So it just to your point,
or somebody who just said something interesting.
Yeah, it just to your point, it's kind of been you hands off, and it's kind of took on a life of its own. You're like, oh shit. I mean, because go ahead.
Beer is still pretty regional. I mean, you have some the biggest breweries that distribute nationally, but so you can go on there and see, what's happened in other parts of the country or the world. There's, some international people on there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's so many pages on Instagram, groups on Facebook where people are, can just go out and say, hey, I'm traveling to this region. Where do I go? What are the breweries to hit?
Well, I love when I jump on your thing and the amount of people who follow you that, oh, I follow them as well. It's so it's we've talked about beer Twitter because we don't call it the other name because it's bullshit. Because
there is no beer X.
I can tweet you. I can't X you. That sounds terrible.
Well, you can, but there might be a trial afterward.
Twitter's around for what, like 15 years? 15 years of branding is not going away. It's Twitter.
No,
forever.
Not at all.
No.
I mean, so Instagram. It's like it's.
I mean, I'll admit I almost never look at my Twitter anymore.
You know what? To your point, you might be right because I'm more,
almost all in on Instagram now.
Yeah. Since we we're not great at social media, but we're figuring it out. And then I kind of coached up Nick on how to video edit, and so now he does. He's really good at reels.
when I remember to do them.
Well, here we are. So, but here we are. It's. Again, it's kind of a symbiotic. What you do, what we do, what the beer community is doing. It's all in the same universe.
Look, it's Arsenio Hall in the background there.
It's Arsenio.
It's the dog pound from Arsenio.
What kind of dog do you have?
She's a Great Pyrenees. So if she hears anything, she assumes it's a coyote or something. She has to warn it off.
That's a great voice, though.
Well, yeah, big voice.
We don't mind guest appearances. It's fine.
We've had children, dogs, other people.
Come over here.
Oh, we're gonna get a doggy.
Oh, a little visual.
Yeah, doggy appearance.
What's her name?
Pearl. She's named after the Pearl hop. I spell it Perle.
Oh,
Nice.
well done. What's the last thing you brewed?
I brewed it. It ended up. I completely just made up the recipe on my own, and it ended up being basically a session IPA. And that one, I'd made a few IPAs, and I felt like I'd always had a little bit of oxidation in the brewing process because there was like this hint of off flavor that I was having trouble tracking down, and that's kind of what I assumed it was. So I did a brew where I didn't dry hop it at all because I just didn't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
Introduce any oxygen at any point. I did what is it called? First wort hopping, where you put hops in during the mash, and then more during the boil. Although it's almost all late addition, so the IBUs were pretty low on it, and it turned out pretty good. That was one of my better beers.
Okay, how long ago was that?
Oh, geez, actually, that was last summer. So it was almost.
What hops did you use? You remember?
I think there was.
He's got a spreadsheet. I feel like he has a spreadsheet somewhere.
Oh yeah, I have the recipe somewhere. So I grew a bunch of Cascade hops.
Oh, you grew your own.
Nice.
So it was mostly that, and then I think I picked up some Citra from the homebrew shop.
How is that growing your own hops?
It's not really worth the trouble. You might as well just buy them for. They're not that expensive, but it's kind of fun.
I mean, they're cool. They're cool looking plants.
They are. But I mean, look, you know this. My wife and I will kill any plant we see. We are not gardeners.
I think hops are pretty robust and they can take a lot of shit.
The trouble is harvesting them, picking all those little cones off, and then the hop binds have like the little hooks on them, so you get like you're getting rashes all over your arms from messing with them.
Look, I can't tell you how many times somebody have told my wife and I, "Oh, they're hardy. You can't kill this plant." Guess what happens?
I'm pretty bad at its plants also.
I'm gonna say hops don't need you to grow.
They're like the cats of plant life.
Yeah. I mean,
if they had opposable thumbs, they'd kill us.
So
is what you're saying.
So this is the thing about hops. Like, we don't really grow hops in this part of the country. We do have a hop farm. Shout out to Kansas Hop Co., who does really great hops. Obviously, we're not growing this shit that's in the Northwest, but Tony at Windshift, and I was over there now, which is now 9 Foot Brewing. So they had this little trellis, and those hops are still growing.
Oh, really?
And this is in the fucking.
That's been 2 years now?
Yeah.
A year?
Those hops are still growing. They're. It's like weed. Well, they're the cousin of weed. You know that. They are the cousin of weed.
The first year I grew them, I was like carefully manicured them, and you tried to only have like 2 of the binds going up per each like cable. Like I have like 4 cables going up to this big old post.
Yeah.
And I tried to only have 2 on each one. Like fertilize them, super careful, and then since then I pretty much ignored them until it's time to pick them.
Because they don't need you. That's the thing.
Are they still growing?
Yeah, they're still growing.
Yeah, they're low maintenance, man. They're like, well, we're gonna do because you look at the vines of a hop plant, those things are sturdy. They are not fragile plants. And when I went to Kansas Hop Co. and this hop farm I went to, it's giant. And so, those plants are like 20 foot high. And to see those things, you're like, wow, it's pretty amazing.
And they'll shoot up that 20 feet in like a week or 2. They go from like just poking out of the ground, and then you come back a week later. And my post isn't 20 feet high, but it's to the top like in a week. Yeah,
it's just a row. I'm gonna say it again, and this is always my it's like weed and hops. So if they were living in a house, the hops live on the top floor. The weed lives in the basement.
Well, I mean, that seems fitting.
I mean, it makes perfect sense.
They grow in a circle.
I mean, sure.
So yours are still going. Does that mean you have a brew day coming up?
I mean, I'll
You got a plan?
harvest some hops and I harvest pretty early in Chico because it's warm and hot here. So like September. So yeah, usually I do a brew in the fall after I harvest some hops.
Well, we would love to have your beer. Can of a couple, send them out. We'll have them as mystery beers.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I'll do next. I don't have anything planned. I've been meaning to do like a kettle sour, or a goza. And I haven't ventured into that yet, but I've been meaning to do that. So that's probably the next one.
I'm actually excited about that.
That could be fun. That could be fun. Because Nick originally did not. He's a sour guy now. He wasn't.
One episode.
Took him one episode.
Took me one episode to get
and,
there.
And shout out to our girl Courtney Service.
I am a fanboy,
who does a lot of sours, and he really not. I don't like sours, and that's. I'm a beer tender, so one of my favorite things to do is for somebody to tell me that they don't like a style. I'm like, oh, let me coach you up.
And I mean, I didn't know. Like I drink a lot of rum, a lot of bourbon,
and that's a lot of people who don't know. Like I had a couple.
I didn't know what I didn't know.
They were in town, coming to Minnesota KC baseball game or whatever. And they swore up and down they didn't like IPAs. I was like, well, there's a wide range. Because IPAs have been vilified. They really have.
Right.
People are like, well, it's an IPA. It's going to be bitter. That's not true.
Yeah, I think the hop chasing, the IBU chasing, right, like kind of gave it a...
But you know what that did? It gave it a bad name to people.
It gave it a bad rap
to people who never had an IPA. Yes, that's.
Well, now there's like a dozen types of IPAs at least.
There's
right.
50-11. There's a shit ton. And so I gave these people, I'm like, you got to try this because where I work. Shout out to my dude Nolan at Transparent Brewing. All the styles he does are very approachable. So there's no like super hoppy.
Yeah, he never gets real crazy.
No. And so I can always stick something in front of somebody. They're like, oh, and to your point, you talked about, we do a French Saison and people who don't like beer, I'm like, you should try this because it hits wine notes, champagne notes,
it's great beer.
Effervescent notes. It's just one of those beers that people will be like, oh, I didn't know that was even beer could taste like that.
Right.
That's why we laugh on this podcast. Because craft beer is still a niche thing. Mm-hmm. It still is. There's still a lot of my friends who have never even had craft beer.
Well, yeah, right. I think that, because usually you get kind of the picture in your head of the bearded white guy from suburbia, right? But I mean, you get that picture of who the craft beer guy is, how the craft beer guy is going to talk, and what and it's chasing IBUs, but that's not it.
No,
once you get into the community.
No, craft. I mean, Keith's page.
Scroll
on his Instagram. That's craft beer.
No, I like when I first went on there when you told me we were going to do this episode. I scrolled through. I'm like, man, there's a lot of different people on there. It's not all just
dudes.
Well, and if craft beer, so if you watch like the news about craft beer, it's a lot of breweries closing. Like, and that's because like. The people that look like me, that market's saturated.
Yeah.
So craft beer needs diversity to survive and to keep thriving. It needs to reach different communities.
Are you seeing the closings where you are? Because where we are, we really haven't seen a ton.
We see openings here, actually.
I mean,
we're super young when it comes to craft beer.
Yeah, I mean, we're what, 10, 15 years behind where he's at?
Yeah, I mean, you got Boulevard here, which is 30-something years old. The next oldest brewery is probably 12 years old. That's it.
Right. And we haven't had anything close in Chico. I've seen a couple breweries come and go in Sacramento area, so not so much. So I more mean just like the overall numbers.
Yeah,
sure.
I've gotten a media pass to some beer events. I've gone to the California Craft Beer Conference. A couple years. and so they've got the guy from the Brewers Association there that shows up every year, Bart something, and like every year the numbers are grim. The industry as a whole is just like flatlined at best. The last few years, there's just overall no new growth. So yeah, there are markets there where it can grow, but I think the more that you can reach out to other communities and not only get them engaged, get them drinking your beer, but also get their ideas on like how where it can go from here, get some innovation. That's how it can continue to thrive.
I think you're seeing more too in like how do you say this? Like resort towns, not necessarily like big city metro touristy places, but I think in those kind of getaway places, you're seeing more. A brewery or three will pop up,
and even in the small towns, where you would go to a town, you'd be like, "There's a brewery here."
Right.
which
if I was going to open a brewery, I'd want to find some resort town and just live that brewing vacation life.
Yeah,
that sounds like the dream.
Well, if I had a brewer friend, that's what I would do. I don't want to do the brewery.
I think you could though, man.
Oh, it's a lot of work.
I think you could.
It's a lot of work.
It ain't that much work.
A lot of work. Nolan works hard, man.
Yeah. Oh, he's cracked another beer.
He's pouring a new one.
Should we do another mystery beer?
Oh, absolutely. Hang on, wait. Do you want to try it this time?
Sure.
Okay.
Mystery beers. Is that?
I don't think that was as good.
No, it's not, because that's not. I'm not the hook. You want one out of the fridge, or you want one out of the bag?
Did you stock the fridge too?
Well, yeah. We've got a. Was that a burp? Did you try to hold that in?
Oh, Keith. Cry burp.
Oh, Keith, come on, man.
Gotta have it.
Heard.
You only had a couple rules. I blew it.
That sounded like one of those, like, is she in the background? Does she know I'm going to burp out loud?
So, Keith, this is our official Beers with Nigel beer fridge. This thing.
Nice.
Right, yeah, it's.
It has an adapter for the car.
Nick thought it was dead.
It was making some noises.
It
was interrupting the recording process.
It's a $30 fridge. All you need. You're an IT guy. I worked in IT. Just reboot it. It's fine.
Unplug it. Plug it back in.
Hello. That's all I did.
Hello.
Hello. You know what?
Play
to win the game. We'll get one out of here.
All right. What do we got?
Oh, look at that. Look at that label.
Oh.
Wow.
Good can art.
Devil eyes. Oh, this is from.
That was weak. I apologize.
You have been burping a lot today. You're very burpy.
I'm look gaseous today.
This is Strange Days Brewing right here in KC. Live deliciously. It's
that's a motto.
It's a imperial pastry style with coconut, almonds, and cocoa nibs.
Well, hello, nurse.
It's right up your alley.
Did you say imperial and stout in the same sentence?
Sorry. That is pretty scary.
It better be pretty ABV with that kind of label.
I mean, one would think.
Mean, you know what's funny is if the name is Live Deliciously and then it has that evil goat, they don't quite match.
Okay, delicious goats.
I don't know.
You like that?
That's a nice sound.
Oh,
you're gonna need to clear your glass there.
I've got another glass.
So do you still do you gravitate IPA?
I probably drink IPAs more than anything. That's kind of my go-to, but
oh man, why is that not on camera?
What was that?
Look.
I'm dripping. I'm sorry.
Look at your cup.
Is he making
Look at
a
your
mess?
glass and your phone.
No. Oh no. You got any paper towels?
Yeah, I tend to seek out like sours and lagers these days.
You know, I'm with you because
I've been on a rice lager kick lately. Just nice, simple, clean rice lager.
No, I love a good lager because that just tells you how good the brewery is. That's what I think.
Yeah, what was it you always say? There's nowhere to hide.
No, you can't hide. You can run, but you can't. That thing is a frothy little bitch.
I have not tried to brew a lager for that reason.
Say it again.
I've not tried to brew a lager for that reason. I need somewhere to hide.
Bro, you should at least try it. I think
I will someday.
I think it's one of those things that if you like a challenge,
Yeah.
even if you screw it up, you drank the first beer you ever brewed.
I mean, you did a syrup bitters. I figure if you can drink whatever lager you make up.
I do have the setup now. I've got like a temperature control thing with the probe that goes into a beer fridge. So I could lager a beer now.
I think that should be your next project. We're here to spur you on, bro.
Think of us like cheerleaders.
We're like beer coaches.
I'm gonna need you to run a mile.
There's gonna be a test at the end of this.
You're gonna run some stairs, and then you're gonna do a lager.
Keith, we got you, man. You had no idea. It's an intervention.
How's your free throw shooting?
Wow. We're combining sports?
Yeah, why not? This PE, you got to mix a lot into the semester.
Run a mile, shoot free throws, and then stand over a boiling kettle. This sounds
absolutely. Yeah.
Look, it's CrossFit.
Basically.
That's great. So what do you so
I like that. I like that a lot.
It's sticky.
It is
it's
not
foamy.
as pastry-y as I expected.
So this one I'm gonna say. For the next podcast, we're gonna have to have a roll of paper towels or something. Because the things you had
well, I just happened to have Keith, I'd folded a paper towel as a coaster earlier in the day.
Keith, there's a stout crime scene to my right over here.
We're gonna have to tape that off.
I mean, that paper towel it's on my phone. It's tasty though. It's
Did
very
you say
thick.
This was Imperial?
Oh yeah, it's Imperial for sure.
It doesn't taste as heavy hitter as I would expect.
Well, look at your grown up palate.
Well, let's not use that word. Well, let's not use either of those, grown up or palate.
So yeah, it's an Imperial pastry style with all those ingredients. Keith, what say you on the ABV?
I'll go 11.
Okay, I like that. 11.
Here
What
goes
you
to
say?
11.
Nick, what you got?
10.5.
I'm gonna one up Keith. I'm gonna go 11.1. Just because it's Price is Right rules.
Which is why I went a little bit lower than I think.
Rough.
But actual retail ABV 12.4.
Whoa! You won 2 in a row.
You know what?
We may be breaking new ground on this podcast. 100 whatever episodes in. I don't know that you've ever won 2 in a row.
You're exactly right. You know what? It's a new day.
You know what? Cheers.
Let me cheers you with my sticky glass. Good Lord.
So I know
we're
this, stupid. I know your last one that you put out was 113 because when we scheduled this, I've listened to the podcast before, but it's been a little while. So I'm like, I'll just listen to the newest one. So I didn't even look at what the title was. I saw it was 113.
Yeah.
Play. And then you guys have the guys from Fresh Fest on there.
Yeah.
Got me ready to run through a wall and straight to Pittsburgh.
Right. You need to go.
And then, apparently. And then, I've seen Tio speak at events before from Crowns and Hops. And so then you mention him, that he's coming on. And it's like, that's when the panic set in. It's like, my dumbass can't follow this.
So we've taken a month hiatus.
So
since that event, we flew in the guys Ed and Dave from Barrel and Flow, T.O., Alyssa from Rhythm Brewing in Connecticut, Ale Sharpton from Atlanta, Jonathan from Cajun Fire. Who am I leaving out?
Something really boring between all that and then my episode though. Like,
and you didn't hear from the Henny
expectations.
Ninja. You didn't hear from the Henny Ninja on the episode because he's a ninja.
Yeah,
and he remained silent.
But bro, this is the thing. If you listen to our episodes, they're all over the place. And what we did, we had no business doing that. But
do we have any business doing any of this crap that we do?
Episode 113 was pretty epic.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that.
That was. You know what? I still have trouble describing that whole week.
And so on the back end of that, what we're dealing with now is T.O., Elisa, Day, and Aaron and Majid, the filmmakers. They all did collab beers here. So there's four collab beers that just came out. Everybody did a blonde ale with buckwheat honey. And so there's 4 breweries in Kansas City who've just released those beers. And so now it's almost like, yeah, we did that a few weeks ago. Now it's back in because everybody's trying to get these beers. So we'll make sure we send you one from each collab. We'll hook you up with there.
More importantly, you need to hit.
That'd be amazing.
You need to hit the interwebs. You need to get you and your wife some tickets for Barrel and Flow in August, and head out to Pittsburgh. Come party
That'd
with
be great.
us.
It's the greatest beer festival
It is an
ever.
amazing festival. It's like nothing you've been to.
Yeah. And
I attended I think during COVID they did
The
like an
DigiFest,
online
DigiFest,
version. I did a couple attended a couple sessions of that, and that was pretty cool. But the description of the actual in-person
bro,
event
I've been going since 2019. And
I went in 21. I guess.
I go to a lot of beer fests, and I've been to a lot of places around the country. It's
This is a different beast.
yeah.
It's a whole other thing. And it's like what we've been talking about though. Sure, it's about beer.
There's
But it's
beer.
about a whole lot more.
Yeah, there's beer there.
A whole lot more.
Yeah, it's worth the price of
And
admission.
look, you and I are pretty white bearded dudes.
You're not that bearded, either one of you guys.
Well,
I've seen better. I've seen better beards than
I
white
did
guys.
a good trim. I did a good trim this week.
Phrasing.
Keep it trimmed.
Heard.
You and I are the minority there, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's great.
And really, again, based on what your page does, that's perfect.
You'd get so much content, you wouldn't have to find new stuff to write about for a year. I mean, the first year I went, just as and Nigel said, I'm a recovering newspaper guy. The first year I went, all I could think of was like, I have 10 million stories I could write from here.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's incredible.
No, but
Can't
yeah,
describe it.
to get those folks to come to Kansas City who had never been, none of them have been here before. It was literally a coup, and to get 4 beer collabs out of it was just another. We're just like, well, wow, we kind of did that.
And we've got another brewery or two who didn't do the collabs, but they're like, we want to take a shot at that recipe.
Yeah. It was wild. So appreciate you listening.
Have you guys done collabs before?
We do.
We do one a year with where you work.
Yeah, and it's like a stout we do, and it's
It's a play on an oatmeal stout base.
yeah. So we've done that. I've worked at several breweries. I've done some collabs, but
We got a big one coming up.
Well, this time, what we did for the 1 pint event. It was I was like, well, let's do this because I love a blonde and I love buckwheat honey, and not many people brew with that. And so the 4 breweries they got to do. So Day got to pick the ingredients aside from that. So they did buckwheat honey, cinnamon and blackberry.
That's what it
And I
was.
just tasted it yesterday. It's fucking stupid. Elisa from Rhythm Brewing, they did a Belgian style blonde with buckwheat honey. I had it Sunday, fire. At Transparent where I work, we just did just a straight up blonde buckwheat honey. Did some Citra hops. Really,
With the filmmakers.
yeah, with the filmmakers, very clean, very easy drinking. And Vine Street did it with T.O., and they did basically a blonde with like the 3 different hops in it. So there's like when we send it to you, you'll see all the labels are the same, but it shows you all the collabs that we did. So it was just something that we thought. All we did was steal.
Well, and it's raising money for National Black Brewers Association.
Yeah. And Negro Leagues Baseball Museum here.
And the Jazz Museum.
American Jazz. And we basically, all we did was steal a page out of what Barrel and Flow is. Because when we go to Barrel and Flow, they do that Friday conferences during the day. Then they do a podcast, and they do a bottle share, and then they do the fest. We were like, we already have the formula. We don't have to.
We don't got to invent anything new.
Yeah, so we just stole from.
I call that R&D, rob and duplicate.
Right. We just stole it from our podcast daddies Yeah. So it was a thing.
Yeah.
People were like, "You going to do it next year?" No.
No. Well, yeah, that's the thing is it was all based around the documentary, the One Pint at a Time documentary, which is phenomenal. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it.
Well,
it's
all you can do is watch the trailer now.
Yeah, right.
So if you go to One Pint
Unless
Film,
you've been to one of their festivals,
yeah,
that they've shown at, but it's an incredible documentary, all based around that. So yeah, I don't know that we could reproduce it next year. We'd have to do something totally different.
Did you see they just won an award at the?
He just won
at the
Best Feature Director at Cannes Film Fest.
Cannes Film Festival. I was like, okay. I was like, okay.
Yeah, like you're somebody.
Yeah.
I told my boy that.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What?"
So when they came to town, it was the first time because it was shown at 18th and Vine, which is a historic jazz district in Kansas City, and it was shown at the Gym Theater, which is 100-something years old.
Well, shout out to the Gym for giving us that space to show it.
And so we show up to the theater, and they've got the marquees and the whole thing, and they showed it at that theater.
Yeah.
It was pretty fucking epic.
Incredible.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if you can get to Barrel and Flow this year, I think for what you're doing and your brand, I think, I could if I were you, a photo booth, a beer selfie photo booth at the fest would be fucking stupid. That would be
even if we're just at the freaking bottle share party on Friday.
oh
Lord,
you could post soap. Oh my God. You know what? If you can't make it, we might do it for you. How about that? have a beer selfie booth because people love to take pictures. Have the background. Let's go.
Yeah,
that would be.
You need to get out there though.
That would be super good.
Experience what it is.
But we'll definitely send you some of the One Pint beers. I think you will enjoy those. They're all very different.
it sounds good.
I've cuvées 2 of them at this point. At one point, I'm going to.
You cuvées without me?
Nice.
You were at work.
I'm a little hurt by this.
Oh my God! This is the part of the show. This is the part of the show where he gets.
I feel like that's cheating. That's infidelity.
I'm a beer cheat, apparently.
I'm not getting in the middle of this.
Apparently, you already are.
Yeah, you're
sir.
there. You're there. You're a witness.
You're the referee. So where do you want beer selfie to go? What do you have ideas for what it should be? I don't know, a year or 2 years from now.
I ask myself that a lot. It's like the follower number kind of leveled off. It's like, all right, now what? And like I said, I'd like to get more into more in-depth content, more beyond just an Instagram description, caption. Like I said, ideally, I have kind of dreams of figuring out a way to crowdfund, bringing in like a diverse group of writers and creating more in-depth content for the website. And then of course promoting it on Instagram, other social media. So, just trying to figure out how to actually make that work.
I got a guy for you in Kansas City, Pete.
Pete would be great.
Yeah, I got a guy. He's written several books. That'd be. I'll connect you guys. That'd be right up his alley.
I feel like he could do a little subscription program. You could make some money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, I like to write. I'm a mediocre writer, but I'd really love to bring in some other people.
Look, you know what I've learned is
to get some different perspectives.
I've learned though that as a mediocre white guy, you can get by with a lot. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
It's fine.
I'm not above leaning on that.
People just give us money sometimes. It's okay.
Right. I would like to get some other perspectives and bring in some other people and create some, like I said, some more in-depth content than what's out there on Instagram. And then try to drive traffic to that with the
definitely.
Media.
I mean, you saw what we did with the One Pint Film. We can certainly, if you want those contacts, they want to tell their stories, right? So that's easy button. If you want to do that, you let us know, and I have certainly like Kansas City has I don't know if you've seen it, Vine Street Brewing, first black owned brewery in Missouri ever. Those are
Right.
our people. So
Right.
I mean, if you want some perspective on that, because my homeboy, his name is Pete Doolin. Look him up. He's on Instagram. Really great writer, and he's writing a book on the history of Kansas City beer, and what you want to do, some different, deeper perspectives. So there's some
Pete would be right up his alley.
yeah. So there's some opportunity there for us to connect. Because it's to your point. I'm looking at your page. I'm like, oh, I should follow these people. It's a share of resources. You know what I'm saying? Of connect. So we love to do that because it's all about growing, not necessarily the podcast, but really getting more people into what we love,
growing the community,
which is craft beer. I mean that's why I love Bear on the Flow, because the first time I went there, I'd never been to any beer event that had that many people of color ever.
Right.
I've been to plenty of events here in Kansas City where it's women. We have no problem with having women here drinking beer. But
which is different than other communities we've learned.
Well, that's what we hear about Pittsburgh. It's not a lot of women in breweries. I don't know what's it like in your city, but there's plenty of females drink. There's a lot of women drinking beer here, a lot, and there's a lot, and we have a good number of female-owned breweries, which is fucking cool as well. So some cities are not like that, but I think it's probably cliche cross-pollination. Is that a thing? What is that funny?
Well, I mean, that's a thing. That's the thing. I don't know. I wasn't expecting you to go there.
I mean, you probably thought something different, didn't you?
I did.
Keith, brother, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. I love what you're doing. We love the story.
Keep it up.
Yeah,
keep sharing stories.
Yeah, I think what you do is super fucking unique. At some point when we get, because we're gonna have a TV show at some point, and we'll come to you.
Coming soon.
We're gonna have you. We're gonna come get that lager you're gonna brew.
Right. Well, or I'll just meet you over at Sierra Nevada.
Or either one, or
both,
or anytime.
Both.
Anytime you want to bring, you want to come to Kansas City, we would love to host you.
Hey, look, we're gonna do a special episode in Pittsburgh when he comes out there this summer.
That would if you.
Hey,
bro.
and you want to stay an extra day because we're doing a show at Mike's Beer Bar Sunday after Barrel and Flow Fest.
We are, and we're also
Nice.
We're pouring a beer at Barrel and Flow this year because we're doing
That's right, collab.
because they do a bunch of collaborations, and so we're trying to. So we're actually going to Pittsburgh in July to brew a beer with Helicon Brewing, and we're actually going to do a tropical stout.
Tropical stout.
So we're going to go brew that beer, and in August we're going to pour it at the festival. And
What is a tropical stout?
funny you should ask.
So mango, coffee, and chocolate, right?
Mango, cocoa nibs, chocolate,
nibs.
maybe a little spot. So a tropical stout is it's a beer that was brewed 1700s. So when they started, going to the Caribbean, everybody knows about the India Pale Ales.
Right.
In the other direction,
Right.
tropical stouts, because it's another beer that could last, but they used local ingredients. So it's technically called a summer stout, but you can only find it in the Caribbean, and it's normally most times it's fruited,
Yeah.
but it's lower ABV,
The
5%.
ABV is not near what we think of when we say stouts.
Super dark, but very light, so you can drink it in the summer. And so I've done one before. Shout out to my boy Tony at Windshift. We did one. We did a mango habanero,
Yeah.
and people fucking loved it.
That was great out at Windshift.
Shout out to my boy Nolan, because he did one at the brewery I work at now, and his crazy ass decided he was gonna get the fruit flavor out of the hops
Which for
and-
him
and-
that was crazy.
and the yeast. Well, he's a smart guy, so it's a tropical style with no fruit, but the yeast he used and the hops he used, you totally get fruit flavors. It's wild. So we're gonna do one with actual fruit.
Right.
So we're going to Pittsburgh in July to make that happen. So, and if you don't come to Barrel and Flow, we'll make sure you get some of that as well. We love beer. We love to send beer. We love beer karma.
Beer mail's a thing.
Yeah, beer. It's beer karma mail. Beer.
What?
Yes.
We need to get a special delivery. We need somebody who's got an airplane.
We're gonna drop him off over his house.
Exactly.
What are we
We
doing?
got like little parachutes.
Oh, all we need is your coordinates. We don't need your address.
Send the beer.
That's hilarious, brother. We appreciate you having you on, man. Keep doing what you do.
Yeah,
I told Nick after this episode we're gonna do a beer selfie and post it on your page.
Hell yeah.
We need
Because he's
Nick
never been
this
on
one.
there.
I've been on beer stuff. We're gonna do that. We're gonna fix that tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna do that tonight. So tell people where they can find beer selfie.
I mean, at Beer Selfie on Instagram. It's on other social media, but Instagram's the best fit for what I'm doing with it. And then beerselfie.com is the
Look,
website.
hashtag repost. When you post your picture, hashtag repost.
Hashtag repost.
I do know that. Brother, we appreciate you coming on
Thank you so much.
from Chico. It's been a pleasure. Now I have a face behind the name. Because, again,
Yeah.
we've
Good
been
to meet you
engaging
guys.
for, I don't know, probably a couple of years. And I was like, who is this beer selfie
Shit ton of
person?
months.
That's a shit ton. It's 50-11.
Yeah.
So, brother, we appreciate you. We will be in touch, man. Stand by. He's going to
All
play
right.
the close.
Hey, and you know what? You can find Beers with Nigel.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about it. We haven't done this in a month.
on the YouTubes.
The YouTube.
Beers with Nigel on Instagram. Beers with
Yeah.
Nigel on Facebook. And on all of your favorite podcast apps, including Apple Podcasts.
And we're still on Twitter, by the way.
Spotify, the Beer Twitter. We're there.
Yeah.
Wherever you want. Beers with Nigel. We're there. BeersWithNigel.com. We'll see you all in the next episode. Hold the face. Hold the face.
You've been listening to Beers with Nigel, a show about beer and other stuff, hosted by Nigel Woodbury and that other guy, Nick Parker. Beers with Nigel is poured for you by Dire Oil Graphics, providing bumper-to-bumper graphic design, promo products, and print services. Find them at direoil.com. Beers with Nigel is a proud member of the Fredcast Network and is available on all of your favorite podcast flavors. Find Beers with Nigel on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and ask Alexa to play the Beers with Nigel podcast.